Welcome back to Reading Bear. Today, we will take a look at some new malicious compliance stories. And if you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comments. Let's go!
First one is titled, How I Scrambled Thousands of Eggs. So, my father has always been a short-tempered guy. Especially towards me. So when he had to teach me to drive a car, tensions were high between the two of us. I was already stressing out with traffic and gears, and he would be at times screaming at me because I was doing it wrong. When we got around to learn how to park backwards in a 90 degrees angle, he of course made me drive to an area with a lot of traffic. As I'm looking in my rear view mirror, I see a van on the opposite side of the road, back to me, preparing to take a backwards turn as well, or so I thought. Park backwards. Yes, Dad, but... I said, park that car. But you park that bloody car now. I just slipped the stick into reverse gear, and made the most perfect turn straight into the side, the weakest point of the delivery van, with the strongest point of my little car, the corner. What the hell did you just do? I calmly took the keys out of the ignition, handed them to him, and without raising my voice said, I parked that bloody car, just as you said, now you deal with it. The van was delivering eggs to a bakery. They were just leaking out of that van everywhere, and my dad's insurance became more expensive. I walked home. A little spring in my step, knowing I completely complied with his bullshit and he got the shitty end of the stick. Next one is titled, You Want All the Yellow Flowers We Have? No problem. It's the time of year for flower shops, and I recently saw a guest who hasn't been to the shop since the events of this story from a couple years ago. I know the dollar amount is about right at least. I was freshly cross-trained onto the sales floor of my flower shop, and had just started answering the phones by the registers. Incoming phone calls from guests are set up to go to the phone center lines first, but forward to the floor if no one answers. I was the lucky one to answer a particularly grumpy regular. We'll call May. May already had issues with me because I was new, and I had issues with her because I don't let people walk all over me, customer or not. She also was generally a problematic customer. I was just her current target for being new. The phone call goes something like this, Me, local flower shop, this is Potato speaking, how may I help you? May, Potato. No, I need someone else. Me, I'm sorry, no one else is available. A lie, but no one was near a phone. How can I help you, May? May, I need yellow flowers. Me, what kind of flowers? May, just yellow flowers. Are you so slow you don't know what yellow flowers are? Me, well, we have a large selection of yellow. May, you know what, just give me all of them. Me, all of them? May, are you deaf? Yes, all of them. And charge it to my card on file so I can just grab them and go. At this point, I wave over the sales manager and switch the call to speaker so he can hear it. Me, okay, so just clarifying, May, that you want all of the yellow flowers we have in stock? May, yes. And charge it to my card. I've wasted enough time talking to you about it. I don't want to wait for my receipt at the counter. I'll be there in 2 hours. I raise an eyebrow at the sales manager. He gives me a bewildered thumbs up and head nod, and I tell her we'll have it ready. Sales manager and I then proceed to pull roses, spray roses, chrysanthemums, snapdragons, literally hundreds of bunches of flowers. We are the biggest florist in the state, and we get the mums in boxes of 24, and never less than 15 boxes a week, so that honestly took up majority of it. The entire time, sales manager is saying how May will never actually take all of this. But he doesn't like people sassing off to his workers, so he was more than willing to play along. He did have the foresight to not charge her card, as when we finished ringing everything up it came to a whopping $1,000 plus order. Between the two of us and some helping hands here and there, some of the other sales clerks learned what happened. It took a good portion of those 2 hours to get everything together. And sales manager had to leave before we were finished to handle a different matter. May comes in, already glaring at me, and asks where her order is. I smile at her and gesture at the 20 or so buckets of yellow flowers surrounding the pickup area. It honestly looked like a display, we had so many buckets. While she's doing her best imitation of a suffocating fish, I tell her as nicely as possible, I just wanted to check that you wanted this order charged to one card, since $1,000 is a lot of money. You could hear her brain short-circuit before she went beet red and said, "This isn't what I meant. Where is sales manager?" I call him over on the radio, and sure enough, as soon as he comes over, he's asking May if we pulled enough yellow flowers, and that we had more coming in early tomorrow morning if she wanted them. She starts stuttering about how this isn't what she ordered and how incompetent Potato is, etc. Until sales manager says, "Potato confirmed with you that you wanted all of the yellow flowers in stock, and these are all of the yellow flowers in stock. If you wanted specific flowers or quantities, you would have to specify those with our sales clerk when placing your order." At this point she grabs an armful of daisies and some roses and stomps off to the registers. The store got a rather nasty email with me mentioned by name about my incompetency and rude behavior, but sales manager corroborated my side of the story. Cameras showed I at least appeared nothing but friendly the whole interaction, and the number of other incidents regarding this particular guest basically ended with an "if you can't be nice to our workers, don't shop here" responding email. We were scolded for wasting 2 hours when we knew she wouldn't take all of it and there were other things to do. But we did exactly what the customer said, so not much else happened repercussion-wise. Next one is titled, "I need to tell you every time I leave my post?" No problem. I should start out by saying I had this job as a hostess for 2-ish years before this new manager came along. I should also state that I have a little bit of an issue when people think they can boss me around just because they are male and I am female. Well, that's exactly what happened with this manager. He treated every single female that worked at this restaurant like shit. I just so happened to be the only one who ever went back at him because I don't deserve to be treated like that. Anyways, when he started, he gave us this new rule. The host stand was not allowed to be unoccupied under any circumstance. For example, if you had to go into the kitchen to let a server know they had just been sat, too bad. You first had to find someone to cover your post, and then you were allowed in the kitchen to let the server know. Well, obviously this doesn't work when it's busy and you need to let the server know right away. I'm going to set the scene here because now this is where the story actually happens. My manager had to work behind the bar this night as the bartender because they didn't show up for whatever reason. As the hostess, it is one of my responsibilities to take to-go orders and then the server puts them in and gets the tip. Well, the customer only knows that I take the order, so whenever there is an issue they would come to me. I had someone order a kid's burger and fries and that was it. After 25 minutes, possibly even longer, the customer came up to me and asked where it was. No problem, I will go check. Well, no servers knew what I was talking about, so I went into the back to talk to the chef and he said, "Oh, it's right here," but no one got the ketchup yet. So I quickly grabbed the ketchup, and as I am doing that, the manager sees that I am not at my stand and starts screaming at me in the kitchen. Basically calling me stupid and unable to do my job, and what can't I get through my head that under any circumstance can I leave the stand without asking his permission? Fine, you got it, boss. The next table I sat, I was fuming because guess what? The server was in the kitchen. So I walked right up to the very crowded bar and said very loudly, "Excuse me, manager," and he looked at me, along with everyone else at the bar, "Am I allowed to do my job and go in the kitchen and let server know I just sat her table?" The customers at the bar were in such shock that I even had to ask this question. My manager was left red as can be and told me yes, but I had to make it quick. Later in the night he comes up to me and asks if we can speak about the interaction we had early. Sure, no problem. We had a little side room with sliding doors where you could close them but keep it cracked so you could see the front door of the restaurant. I was facing both doors and my manager was facing me, with his back to both doors. So again he starts yelling at me because I don't know how to do my job properly. This goes on for about 5 minutes and eventually I said, "Who has their eyes on the stand right now?" And he says, "I do," meaning himself. And I said, "Well, that's funny considering your back has been turned to the doors this whole conversation." He told me I could leave for the night, and that is exactly what I did. Eventually the managing staff got so bad, he only lasted about a month there, that I was fired, quit, and I haven't looked back at that place once. It's a shame because it was a great place to work in the beginning, but it took a quick turn downhill. Next one is titled, Be a model employee but don't be too much a model employee. I work PT for that big blue vest wearing box store as a cashier. We recently got a new front manager who is a huge hypocrite. I got a verbal warning about things I talked about which made other employees uncomfortable. Yet she admitted to talking about not allowed subjects with another employee because he really didn't give a poop if they fired him. Yet she could not give me any examples and told me to just be less open and offensive and more of a model employee. Of course everyone noticed I was not my usual happy lookout for others self that was not required in the by-the-book manual, and I told them what was going on as much as I was able. If I revealed too much I could have been written up for trying to find out what I had done so offensive that she couldn't give an example. My direct supervisor was speechless and not happy as I tend to bring people's attitudes up. Cue malicious compliance. I am fast on a register. The company wants so many scans per hour I usually do 25% over the goal and double what most cashiers do, so I bring the daily numbers up quite a bit. I asked around and found out what the other cashiers were doing per hour, so I met their goals as close as possible, which of course killed the store goals. This manager also removed me from the self-checkout for most shifts where I knew most of the cheats and could spot the things not scanned. And of course the loss numbers started climbing. My supervisor was confused at my scans, but I told her I was being a model employee and she realized just how malicious I could be. Even our door watcher was upset that I was on regular cash because he was having to stop a lot more people who weren't scanning large items under their carts. Eventually the manager asked my supervisor what was wrong with me because I was so quiet. Guess she forgot what she told me, and she was told I was being the model employee she asked me to be. Since I had no clue what I did to offend, I was just being not offensive. She couldn't confront me because not long after this the global issue hit and I took leave, and then the loss numbers really went through the roof according to people I worked with. Next one is titled, Customer wants to close his account because I called him out on being in a hole. So I worked in a small credit union. There was a regular customer that was always weird towards a coworker. He'd never go to her booth, but he's always make weird and rude comments to her. Are you really working over there? Every time I come in here, you're just standing there. I can't believe they pay you to just sit there. Or he'd ask me, does she actually do anything here? I asked my colleague about it and she said he'd always said these things. She's never served him, doesn't know his name, never seen him outside of work. She had no idea why he was like that towards her. So next time he was in, I confronted him about it. I waited until he said something and then mid-transaction, before he had his money, I stopped. Why do you do that? Why to just say nasty things to my colleague? She's never served you, you don't know her out of work, she's never been mean to you, she doesn't even know your name, and yet you are just rude and condescending to her. Why is that? Well, he got all "get your manager" on me. I said, no, because if I do, I'll tell him in front of you, about how much of a hole you are for no reason. I've been banking here for years, blah blah blah, formal complaint, blah. Your service is rude and unprofessional, blah blah. I'm closing my account. Fine. I printed out his closure of account forms, gave him his money and told him he could complete the form at the counter and hand it straight back. He took the form, the money and left. He came back as scheduled the next week. Completely silent and meek, except for a "thank you." He never closed his account. He never made a formal complaint. Next one is titled, Clock out while I use the restroom. Okay, I'll do it when you're busy and not come back. I was a dishwasher for a local pizza joint. Not the most respectable of jobs, but hey. Money is money. I'm a damn good worker, I show up 10 minutes early every day, never take off, and I get shit done. I can put up with a lot of nonsense, but this place was getting to me. One thing after another. Most importantly, the manager was the most snarky, condescending man I've ever met. This is important to the story. I have irritable bowel syndrome, but it's never a problem because I use the bathroom before work. Today, I needed to use the restroom during work hours, which I don't usually do. I was in there for 10 minutes. The place was a ghost town, I didn't even have a fork to wash. I would literally stand there waiting for something to be used so I could clean it. I came out of the restroom and was curtly informed that I needed to clock out next time I used the restroom. What? Okay, fine. I laughed it off and said I would comply. I just wanted to continue my shift and mind my own business. Here's the fun part. The manager and assistant manager decided it would be a fun game to make fun of me. They're adults, mind you, hence the snarky condescending part. They were loudly talking behind my back, intentionally so I could hear them, and said something along the lines of, "Yeah, Op thinks it's funny that I told them to clock out when they use the restroom." So I turned from what I was doing, literally standing there waiting for dirty dishes, and look at them in disbelief. Two grown men thought it would be funny to poke fun at the dishwasher. They look at me and say, "Isn't that funny, Op?" I say, "No, I don't find this funny at all," and turn back to my incredibly busy post. The manager then proceeds to gleefully sign out, "Hey, I'm clocking out to use the restroom. Just wanted to let everyone know." This was typical for this guy. Last straw. Right as it was getting busy during dinner, when I would usually be swamped with dishes, I go to the manager. I say, "Hey, just wanted to let you know I was clocking out to use the bathroom." He was busy, so he just gave me the look of, "Okay, you can go potty now," and I said I would be returning home to use the toilet at my house, and that it shouldn't be a problem since I was off the clock. He started to argue, and I just left. Not my problem since I was off the clock. Duck that guy. I may get some crap for leaving them in the lurch, but I honestly don't feel bad. They had it coming. This was only one instance of my patience being tested by this snarky butt munch of a man. On the off chance that he uses Reddit and recognizes me, you are a snarky, condescending, butt munch. I just wanted to make that clear and direct, just in case. Next one is titled, "Downsized, and told to take all my personal stuff." Will do, boss. I worked for a multinational company 10 years ago, as the regional management running a two-way radio repair shop, on the customer's main site. 6 direct report techs, and an admin assistant. The techs rotated but the admin assistant and I were there every day. Because I worked 205 to 250 hours every month in that office, for 160 hours of salary, I had a few things there as you can imagine. 2.5 years into working there, I had annoyed my boss and lost the company lotto, so I was one of 4 people he downsized that year. I expected it months earlier when he let the first one go, but wasn't going to work worrying about it. One Monday my fresh tech was late and not answering his phone, and comes in 90 minutes late with my boss and HR in the vehicle. Guess today's the day. As part of the exit interview, they get to all personal property. Oh boy, time for some fun. Most people have 1 box, I ended up with 5. Coffee pot, toaster oven, microwave, my coveralls and boots. They tried to keep those, but I never submitted a bill. Oh, and my shelf of notebooks. Nothing was ever filed physically in my desk, my toolbox of electronics tools, soldering iron. By the time I was done boxing my stuff up, there was 2 well-equipped desks, of 4, no microwave, a 40-cup coffee pot, and no USB serial cable to connect to the battery conditioner. Found out from my admin assistant that my boss had to spend just shy of $1,000 to re-outfit the shop that week, before going home. Next one is titled, "Ignore Me? Fine, run out of tea." I work at a coffee chain. It was a weekend and super busy. We were running low on green tea, and had 5 extra things of iced coffee. So the one they were getting ready to make wasn't needed. I said out loud to everyone, "Hey, I'm moving this iced coffee because we need green tea," so I went and was taking orders. I went and turned to take the tea and put it in drive-through, and someone decided to move the tea without making it and started the iced coffee. I said how this isn't needed, and my manager snapped at me to just let it go. So I did. And I took an order for 3 large green teas just for everyone to yell at me we didn't have any. I looked them dead in the face and said, "Oh, you mean the tea I was trying to make and all of you ignored me?" And they tried saying how it wasn't their fault, so I said sure whatever dude and left outside to smoke a cigarette. Maybe next time listen to me, it's not like I've been here for 10 years. Last one is titled, "Store Policy Against School Uniform?" I have no shame. Obligatory. This was a friend of mine and happened a few years ago now. Also we're Australian and the legal drinking age here is 18. My friend had just turned 18 and, as is tradition, she went down to the bottle shop to buy her own alcohol for the first time, legally anyway. She went in after school, still in her uniform, and was refused service due to store policy, which was apparently that they can't sell to anyone in school clothes, even if they are of legal age and show proper ID. So, what does she do? Goes back outside, takes her uniform off and walks back in wearing only the booty shorts she had on under her school skirt, her bra and an open cardigan thrown over the top. Needless to say, she got to buy her alcohol that day. Thanks for listening.